Hello there, bitches, bros, non-binary hoes. It is your friendly neighborhood Bris here. We are going to be doing something a little bit different today, and ignore that. Don't worry about it. Yes, the door of my closet has come off. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's nothing to worry about. But this is something really special. You guys may know me from TikTok, you may know me from Twitter, you may know me from Twitch. But the real thing is that this entire thing is the byproduct of you guys. So thank you so much. And what I mean by that is a lot of you have requested that I do my more informal discussion type stuff that I usually do at the end of my lifting videos here. And just have a really nice conversation. You can put me... I'm definitely like second monitor kind of vibes, you know what I mean? So I know exactly where I am. I'm on your second monitor, I'm on your phone while we're just cooking some food, while we're doing this, that, and the other. So I know my place. I know exactly where I am in relation to what you guys are doing, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Today, we're going to be discussing something interesting. So I'll tell you how this kind of stuff's going to work. Essentially, whatever I find interesting throughout my week, whatever things I'm meditating on and just happen to come to me, and I want to bring it forward to you guys as well, so you can just get some appreciation of how I think about the world and how I think I can bring something interesting into your lives as well. And today is a really heavy topic. For those of you who know me, I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few months. And that is mortality. Mortality. Imagine. Mortality. Of all things. Mortality. Specifically, I was listening to the song 7 Years Old by, I can't remember the artist now. The song by Luke Graham. I just looked it up. And every time I listen to it, it's almost difficult to listen to. And whenever I do listen to it, I get filled with emotion. I'm currently 23 years old. And every time that I've listened to this song previously, I've been around one of the markers of when, the ages that he's mentioning. So 7 years old. I think it's once I was 7 years old, once I was 20 years old, once I was 30 years old, once I was 60 years old, something like that. And it's only hit me really profoundly recently that how precious life is, because I think back to when I was 7. I don't think this song was out when I was 7, but I know when I was in my teens, when I first heard this song, it didn't have any real meaning to me. It was just like it's got nice music, it's got things like that. But now that I'm 23, I've lived really nicely, really long. And it brings tears to my eyes, honestly, to think about it. To think that I was once 7 years old. I was once 20 years old. And I didn't even realize it. There's so much going on in our world, so much to be distracted by every single day, that I forget that once I was 7 years old. I think back to when I was 7. The things that I would be doing. I'd be out in summer collecting bugs. I would be playing. I would be waiting by the phone to hope that my friends from up the road would call to ask if I could come play. I remember going to school and thinking that math was the worst thing that had ever been created and why I had to learn it. I'd much rather be outside playing tag or messing around on the climbing frames. Once I was 7 years old. And then I turned 20. And I didn't even realize. So much going on. COVID-19. A pandemic in my lifetime. Uprooted my whole world. And I'm better for it, but still. Something that I never even took in the moment. It was something so profound, so incredibly challenging to the life that I lived so far that I barely even processed that it happened. Looking back, I think of how profound it was, how ridiculous, and that it just happened, and I'm just another guy. I'm just a guy who just experienced it. That's it. That's crazy. And so, how did this bring me to mortality? Well, soon I'll be 30 years old. Songs have been sold, I've travelled around the world, and I'm still roaming. And that's crazy. And the reason why is I am trying to live, as a result of all of these things that I've been thinking about, I've been trying to live more presently. Less in the past. My past I can forgive myself and love myself for. Less in the future, because the future's never determined, it's not promised. One of the biggest mistakes that I've heard and I've adopted is that we think that the future is promised. And actually, I'll tangent here, and hopefully I'll remember what I was talking about and I can come back to it. A man was having an argument with his wife. Didn't talk, went off to work the next day, speaking with a friend, a colleague, and said, "Oh, I feel bad. When I get home, I'll resolve it. I'll sort it out. I'll say I'm sorry." And the gentleman said, the friend, "Who told you were going to make it back?" He didn't understand at first. What do you mean? When I get back home, No. Who told you were going to make it home to see your wife? We take the idea of the future for granted so incredible. We think that we will be here for it to happen. We accept, because all that we've ever known is that we've been here, so why wouldn't we still be? But we take that for granted. Oh, so much. A little too much. The future is not promised. The man wept, for he realized that he may not make it home. Any number of possibilities could happen between the time that he leaves work and the time he gets home, and all those words left unsaid. The weight on his chest made him cry. He, of course, called his wife immediately. She was probably a bit bewildered by it, but that's the thing that we don't understand. All we ever have is the present. Right now. What we have right now. All I have is this room and what I'm going to do with it. All we have is right now. What we choose to think. Where we choose to go. Who we choose to spend our time with. Because the future isn't promised and the past never existed. Just a memory. All we have is right now. Back to mortality. Because it's the human condition to expect that we will still be here, that it will happen with us, to us, we'll be there. We're always thinking about these other things. We've been taught, we've been conditioned to think about our past, to dwell on it in the happiest memories. Even at the end of our life, that's a future concept. It's the concept that you've reached the finality and that there's nothing to be gained from being there. The past, a meditation on things that were and how you never appreciated them. Well, what if you did? No, I'm asking you. What if you did? What if you did appreciate now? So that when it's the past, you can remember how fondly you held it close. Wow. That's something, isn't it? This is how I think. The past. That which has happened. The emotions that I've felt. The things that were real to me. That I now glorify and vivify because I never appreciated them in the moment. All we have is right now. I want to love the exact moment that I'm in at any moment, and hopefully every moment that I'm in. I want to put myself in situations where I can live that moment. It's one of the biggest reasons I don't take photos. I don't care where I've been. I don't care where I'm going. A photo is a great representation of what was. But I never want to sacrifice the opportunity to just be an observer at a moment. To just sit and look at it. Than to distract myself by, hey, click. Let me get the filters right. Let me get the angle. There's a time and a place for that, where I want to capture a beautiful part of it, but that's its own purpose. I never want to be going out of my way to distract myself from the current moment, just to snap a photo or a video. I want to appreciate whatever I've got in its entirety. Because the memory, if it's important to me, will stay. It'll stay with me greater than any photo could ever emulate. It could stay with me greater than any video that I could have taken. It will evoke more emotion from me than any PNG or JPEG. Any sound or audio file that I could listen to. It is something that I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I'd like to try. That's why I do it. Mortality. What we've got right now. Or maybe that's what I think it should be. Mortality. What we have right now. I like that. So I just looked it up. Mortality. A state of being subject to death. Wow. Isn't that just it? Perfect. Absolute. No greater definition can be acquired for it. For that is what mortality is. It's us. Those entities that will die. Will die. Future. Now, if I've mentioned that the future isn't promised, well, maybe that's a little lie, isn't it? Because death is promised to us mortal beings. Death is promised. But why does that matter? Feels like whenever we talk about death as a concept that somehow we hope desperately it will evade us. Somehow desperately we wish for it not to happen to us. We scramble and claw at any moment. Any thought, we carve it away. We don't want to think about it. It is terrifying. Think about it. Now, death. You and everyone you love and everyone you hate and everyone else will die. They will stop existing. Feel it. Feel the claws of sanity dragging that thought back and down into the pits of your mind. Feel it and embrace it. It's terrifying, and it's supposed to be. Because all we've ever known is existence. That's why religion's so popular. But all we've ever known is to exist, to struggle, to thrive, to succeed, to do all these things. All we've ever known is life. So the idea that that cannot be, that there will come a time where that isn't, well, isn't that just the most bewildering thing to a human mind? I listened to I'm not sure if it was a podcast or a presentation or a conference. Oh, what was the gentleman's name? I found it. Simon Sinek. It was a beautiful piece that he said that the human mind cannot comprehend the negative. It can only comprehend the positive. It cannot comprehend the negative. Impossible. And I think that's a really interesting point to bring up here. The human mind cannot comprehend non-existence. We must rationalize that we go somewhere, something happens. Look how special we are. How can we not exist? How is that even possible, that things can exist and then can't exist? How? It's so much it could drive you insane. And that's okay. It's not supposed to make sense. The fact that we were given the gift of consciousness to this degree is unfathomable. To think we're on a rock floating in the middle of an endless void that's getting bigger. Infinity is getting larger. There are so many stupid things that we can think about, but they're not stupid. They're insane. We exist as human consciousnesses. We don't know if any other entity has a consciousness the way that we do, as far as I'm aware. Haven't looked into it. The human condition of life will happen. We will exist and go through our entire lifetime. We will grow and grow and grow, and then there will come a point where we stop. Where things start to go wrong, our body doesn't serve us the way it used to. Our systems break down for reasons. Because it's supposed to happen? Why? Why would we be designed to die? Why? Interesting thought, just came up with it. Because that's the condition of the universe. To change your state of being. Mortality. The change of state of being. We've been given a gift. Cosmic stardust burst out of a long dead star from millions, if not billions of years ago. Longer than we can really comprehend. Longer ago. Spat out, whirling around in an endless void that gets bigger, consolidating itself into masses, planets, stars, continuously changing their shape, their form, exploding and scattering their remains across the cosmos, until eventually, us. Now, of course, that's a big jump, but I don't know all the history, and I'm not going to pretend like I do. We're made of stardust. Stardust. On a floating rock that isn't really floating, because it's sitting in a bed of a force which we call gravity, which only exists because our planet bends space-time to sit itself neatly in some extra dimensional fabric that we can't really understand properly, I think. Kind of going ad-lib here, don't really know all the details, talking very fast, so didn't have much time to catch a thought. And although it's very fortunate that stardust spat out at the beginning of existence, have come together in such a unique manner to form consciousness. How crazy is that? Dust, over a whole long length of time, dust, just dust, the shit that you can't stand to off of any surface in your house, dust, became sentient. Created its own problems. And became aware that eventually they will return to the chaos of the universe. But that one promise won't help them live their lives any better? Crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. We die because we're supposed to. Because everything in this universe, maybe even this multi-universe, I'm not sure multiverse is the correct word there, because multiverse seems to encompass multiple dimensions. I'm talking about multiple universes within our own dimension. Never mind. Everything in this dimension decays. It's supposed to. It's supposed to change shape. It's supposed to become everything. Everything is supposed to become everything. What's the box that if you put an apple in a box and you watch it for a long enough time, it will decay, and then eventually all of its atoms will reform and become an apple again? Because those atoms, realistically, over a long enough period of time, have to become everything that can fit inside that box. How you know how that's insane to think about, and we are no different. Sure, the circumstances have been perfect for our creation, our existence. Theoretically, what's to stop it from happening again? Now, I don't know what happens to what we've got up here, this consciousness, where it goes. The fact that something as intricate and complex as conscious stardust can then just not exist. I don't know how that works. I don't think I'm supposed to. But what I do know is that just like I was 7 years old once, and just like when I was 20 years old, I will now not underappreciate what I've got right now. Because eventually I'm going to be spat out of our star. I'm going to be sucked in the most brilliant supernova that our galaxy will probably ever see. My atoms will be annihilated. So what's the harm in enjoying what I've got right now? What's the harm? Ladies and gentlemen, bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes. It's scary. It's terrifying. And the more you think about it, and the more you know, the less you probably wish you could understand. It's the human condition to wish to understand things. For things to have a greater purpose. There is no thing that you're supposed to do here with your time on Earth. You are stardust. Always have been. The combination of the work of billions of years of effort by forces which you will never fully understand. But you've been given the gift of consciousness. So please choose to be better with it. Do your best to be better. Do your utmost to become someone who's better equipped to love themselves right now. Because the future isn't going to be promised to you. It never will. But right now is the greatest gift that you will ever own. It's the only thing that is truly yours. Right now. I love you so much. Please stay well and stay safe. Star Child.